dreamers, a happy, scrappy group of believers. So come, play a part. There's room for mistakes and messes and art. Who cares if there's not many takers? We're doing it for the makers.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the For the Makers podcast. We are so excited that you are here today because you are in for a treat.
A treat.
Truly a treat. One of our really great friends is here, and we just love him. And it's honestly, I'm so inspired by him. Me too. I can't wait for you guys to hear from him. And so I'm gonna introduce what? What was that I just said? I don't know what happened.
You were so excited.
I'm so excited.
I know.
I'm just really pumped.
It's just hard to speak.
It is. And I also
sometimes.
had coffee just a second ago, so that might be part of it too.
Riding on caffeine.
I'll breathe. I'm just going to introduce us and then we'll jump right in.
Great.
My name is Lee Beth Etheridge. I am one of your hosts for this podcast, and I am here with the one and only
Rachel Gifford.
What's up, girl? How you doing?
Good. I just think it's so funny that is now the thing that you say before every time
you are the one and only.
Well, actually, if you were to Google Rachel Gifford, there's many other.
Hey, to us, you're the one and only.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, girl, always. Anytime.
Hey, LB, when do we release our podcast?
Every second and fourth Friday of the month.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Because you clap on the 2 and the 4, not on the 1 and the 3.
There you go. Yeah.
I just wanted to give a little friendly reminder of when we do drop our episodes because, it can be hard to remember sometimes.
Yeah, it is. And you guys, you don't want to miss this season. These people are so
We've been
brilliant.
having a ball. This has been so many good conversations and just like for us, it's like back-to-back conversations with people because we record in a small amount of time. But I just think I think you all are, I hope you're enjoying it so far.
With that being said, Rach, will you intro our incredible guest for today?
Yes. Today we have on the podcast Timothy H. Lee, and I am going to give a little cold read of his bio. All right. Tim Hae Chan Lee was born and raised in South Korea until the age of 12. He moved to America and found his love for singing and dancing, which led him to musical theater. He is fluent in both English and Korean. He has an NYU Masters in Music Vocal Performance, a BFA in Musical Theater from Cal State Fullerton, and he is a full-time private voice teacher in New York, which is so cool. Tim.
Yeah, truly.
Credits include KPOP Broadway.
Okay, casual.
I could just drop the mic right there.
Casual.
Miss Saigon, Noble Family, and the National Tour of Rudolph. Tim, welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
Hey.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh my gosh, thanks for being here. We've been really looking forward to this.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, so we met Tim. Do you want to tell the story, LB?
Sure, I'll tell the story. So we met Tim. So through Seated Productions, Rachel and I have a few different shows that we're constantly workshopping or trying to get up on their feet or presenting to producers. And we are workshopping a show, and we actually have a mutual friend named Colby. And we were going through different people asking, hey, do you know people that would be good for this? Or looking on Instagram at mutual friends.
We did a lot of Instagram.
Yeah, lots of Instagram
That's
stalking.
like the prime of casting these days.
Truly.
Instagram.
Yeah. Note to all you performers out there, if you don't have material on Instagram, get it on there.
rough,
now you can pin stuff to the top. So, yep.
Oh, yeah.
Pro tip.
And so we were scouring Colby's Instagram, and we came across Tim, and both of us watched some of his material that he had on Instagram, and we were like, who is this man?
Yeah.
And how do we get him to come work with us?
Voice of an angel.
Yes. Just a smile that can light up a room, a voice of an angel. And so we, we reached out to him. We're like, hey, we're doing this workshop of a new musical that we're trying to take onto Broadway at the time. And so we were like, would you be willing to come do this workshop? And he immediately responded and was like, yeah, absolutely. And it was an incredible day, just a fun day.
Yeah.
And his performance was amazing. And it was just so fun. And that's how we got to know Tim. But I'm so thankful we did.
I'm so thankful we did too.
Yeah. Okay, so Tim, let's just start with the first question.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we'll have a lot of conversation that rolls from this,
Right.
all of these 5 questions. So what got you into the arts?
When I first moved to the States, I wasn't really familiar with the culture or the language. I mean, English is definitely my second language. And I wasn't just getting used to this vibe in this country.
Right.
And during middle school, I think I was bullied a lot. I went to a pretty much white majority school where they also weren't used to seeing an Asian kid around the corner. So
Sure.
I think, I was bullied, I was made fun of, and I would hear all these, slurs about my race. And that's when I decided, I was like, nope, I'm going back to my motherland, and I can't do this anymore. So I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I don't want to stay here. I'm just unhappy, and I miss my friends in Korea. And my mom was very supportive, and she's like, okay, let's go back. But your brother is still in school. I came here with my older brother, who was at that time in high school.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And he, in Korea back then, went to an international school, so he was kind of familiar with English and everything.
Sure,
So he got along well, and he did musical theater in high school
Okay.
Okay,
as
cool.
an elective, like madrigals, choir. You know what I mean? That's
yeah,
like the beginning. That's the core. That's where everything starts. for everyone.
Totally,
Like,
totally.
Like madrigals is where everything starts. And one day I went to go see him in a show called Curtains, and
I love that show.
yeah, it's a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And first of all, I didn't even understand a single word or what they were doing, what they did. But all I saw was my brother, who looks like me,
Yeah.
an Asian person among so many other different race,
Right.
happily performing.
Yeah.
Obviously he was acting, obviously he was faking, but at that time it struck me like, how can you be happy in this country?
Yeah. Wow.
And I think that's when I started asking, if I do that, if I go on that platform or stage, whatever, will I be happy? Will
Wow,
I
yeah.
enjoy my time here? And I think that's when I wanted to give it a try. So as soon as I went to high school, like I joined theater, I joined choir. I've always enjoyed singing and dancing. Back then I wanted to be like a K-pop artist. So I even like auditioned for YG and SM, like big entertainments back then.
Yeah.
And so I was interested, but I wasn't really familiar with theater.
Sure.
But so I joined theater because I wanted to survive in this country, basically. And I joined, and surprisingly enough, that theater community was probably the only community at that time that didn't really look at me different than them. They supported me for who I am, and they really helped me get through my high school life.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot of their culture, spoke a lot of English, so I got better. And I think that was just a beginning spark of my love and interest for theater. So basically I didn't start because I was passionate about singing or dancing.
Right.
I joined purely because I wanted to belong at somewhere.
Wow,
And the community was helpful.
Yeah.
You know? And that's when I just began doing the work. And then when I told my parents, like, hey, I kind of like this and I want to go to college for this,
Yeah.
they're like, absolutely not. That's not why they sent me here, right?
Right,
You
right.
know, I wrote this on my Instagram post too, but it's not that is not the reason why they sent me here. They sent me here to study and really get better chance to succeed in life,
Sure.
you know, but not just that. Side note, but my family is all classical musician.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
they know what it takes to be an artist already.
Yeah.
And especially in the classical world, if you're not talented, quote unquote, you can't do it.
Right.
And to my family's eye, I wasn't talented. I was like, oh yeah, no, he likes it.
Sure.
You know, oh, that boy enjoys it.
Right.
But that boy cannot do this for a living, you know,
Right.
because they know how hard it is.
Yeah.
And I don't know what got into me. I kept fighting them that I wanted to do it. And then I went to college for this. And then, you know, to be honest, to this day, I think it was very recent when I had a really good conversation with my dad that he was really proud of me.
Wow,
And it took him a while to get through that because it's a different culture. When
Yeah.
I came to the
Right.
States, my dad stayed in Korea, so he doesn't really know about the States
wow,
yet.
yeah.
And even my mom, being the classical pianist herself, she tried it here in the States and had to go back to Korea because the competition was so strong, the language barrier, the culture barrier was already strong. So my parents already knew the racial discrimination I was going to face in the industry before I even started it,
Right.
because they faced it here before.
Right.
So when I went to Broadway, I think that's when it clicked with them, like, oh, he's serious.
Right.
Like when I went to Broadway, right?
Right.
It took me Broadway for me to convince my
Right.
parents, right?
Oh my
It's that hard
gosh.
to convince Asian parents.
Yeah.
But and now I have a really good relationship with them in terms of that ideology. But until a couple years ago, I think I had a really rough time even going to Korea, going back home.
Wow. Yeah.
Because my grandma or my relatives would be like, yeah, so what are you doing? You know, I'm like, I'm performing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get paid.
Yeah.
And they're like, you good? Are you sure? Like, are you gonna be okay? I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. Totally.
And I think, you know, my parents were still then so proud of me, but when I got the offer to go to Broadway and then went to Korea, it was a completely different story, and I felt very happy to make my parents happy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So and they got to come see. We can talk about this later, and they got to come see it
Oh,
the
my
closing,
gosh.
and it was just very emotional. It was yeah. So that's how I got into it. It's a really long talk.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Do not apologize.
Yeah.
So I love that. So when was it, like high school that you, well, I guess you said high school,
Yeah.
you started to be like, I want to study this in
Right.
college.
Like end of high school.
Okay.
Up until then, it was more like
Where you belonged.
I want to survive in this community
Yes.
of white people, and I was
Yeah.
scared. But
Yeah.
towards the end, I was like, wait, I kind of actually like this.
Yeah.
I kind of actually like doing this. I was chorus boy till the end. You know what I mean? I was chorus boy till my early 20s, even in college. Like they would, you know, in high school, they would have those like seniorities and they would give roles to the seniors.
Yeah.
None of that for me. I was just like in the bag. It's like, oh my gosh, yeah. Oh, Tim, thank you for auditioning. Here you go. Yeah. Always at the back,
Oh,
which
man,
is a big role. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which you gotta still appreciate.
Yeah.
But back then, only people who really went to college for theater were like the stars of the school.
Yeah.
Stars, like the leading roles, blah, blah, blah. So when I told my friends that I was going, they're like, huh? Like, are you sure? Like, I mean, they were nice, but like, they're like, I remember a lot of them questioning, even my choir teacher, like, are you sure? Because it's rough and English is your second language. So I don't know what got into me back then, but I was fighting against every single odds that I was facing. And I think it's interesting how I don't even remember what got into me.
Right.
I mean, if I tell myself back then, I'd be so scared to walk this path.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really think it was God.
Yeah.
Totally. So when did you decide you wanted to go to grad school?
So after college, my things started working out. Like I got an agent through a showcase. I made it to the BFA. Oh, my BFA program was a little particular. It was cutting system. So we started with like 120 kids, and then it got cut to like 10 people.
Yeah.
Our class had 12. But
Oh my God.
so it was like a massacre of chopping people
literally,
down. And me and everybody who studied theater since they were 3, and me who were like, oh, I just wanted to belong in a community, goes to college and be like, what is going on? Why is my friend not coming back to school next semester? Like I was just like so confused.
Yeah.
And so after college, after learning how tough this industry was, I got the agency. I stayed in LA.
Okay.
And I performed in a lot of regional theaters, and things were working out. And I was just still the back chorus boy, and they wanted Asian chorus boys. So I definitely took a part in that niche and started performing. But I knew there was something more inside me that I wanted to do. It was more like obsession with my craft, obsession with my skill set, that I always felt like it wasn't enough.
Totally.
Like, I want to do better, but I'm like, I know I'm not good enough yet. And while I was going through, but I was constantly getting hired in dancer ensemble roles which I also saw a limit to compared to those who started at such a young age.
Sure.
So I was figuring out where this was going, and then while in the middle of rehearsal, I still remember in March everything stopped.
Yeah.
And all the shows that I was ready to do were canceled. Everything got canceled. And I think it was 2020 March March that COVID happened and everything closed. And I actually was, this is going to sound really bad. I was kind of happy that it closed because the fact that this industry stopped was basically everyone is stopped, not just me.
Right.
Which is a chance for me to climb faster. And I took that and I was like, I have to make something out of this time.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know how long this COVID is going to last.
Right.
I got to do something. And this is the best time to
do that.
Practice. Yeah. Best time to get my craft to get better.
Right.
So I instantly looked for master's degree because I was getting more into like singing and like learning the idea of singing or like the breath flow and like understanding that. So I found it, and then happened to be it was already March, so everything was already 2020 fall season was already set. The classes were already set, but because of COVID, they turned into remote classes.
Yeah.
A lot of people have dropped out or waited a year. So there were empty spots in NYU that they were still looking for students in March for September.
Wow.
And because I just wanted to get it through fast. I knew COVID was going to last about like 2 to 3 years. So I got to get this degree out of the way before I go back to the business.
Yeah.
Right.
So I applied, I got it. And then I applied in April. Callbacks. I mean, not callbacks. What do you call them? Like college auditions.
Yeah.
Round of auditions like 3 times. And I got accepted in May.
Wow.
To go to school in September. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
August or
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know what is going on. I'm just gonna go. I've always wanted to move to New York, whatever. And that's how I jumped in. It wasn't really thinking about it. And also I think I went to grad school thinking like back then I would look at Instagram and be like, wait, Eva Noblezera is out of work?
Yeah. No,
like,
totally.
Who like I think I saw some post of this like really celebrity in musical theater. I don't know, like I think it was Joshua Henry or something. Like, oh, we're not working. Like we like how they were struggling. Maybe not Joshua Henry, but somebody said that.
Yeah. Right.
And it hit me like, wait, this industry is not safe once COVID happens.
Right.
Like, what if COVID happens 10 years later when my parents are not able to support me or when I have to feed my family? So I was like, I need a backup thing, and I really don't want it to be like serving.
Right.
I want it to be teaching. Because all my parents are teachers, like classical musician teachers. Yeah. So I knew I had that in my DNA. So I think that's why I decided to go to grad school and pursue that. Yeah.
Oh, and now you teach.
Yes. Thanks to that, I graduated with that, and I found more love for teaching. And you know, private voice teaching is really word of mouth. So
totally.
Thankfully in New York, I think I found my people, and the word of mouth spread, and they're like, oh yeah, go to Tim, he's great. And they come to me and they book and they blah, blah, blah. So I think it's going well. And thankfully I didn't have to find another job.
Other work.
And it's flexible for performing too. So.
Totally.
Absolutely. When you leave town for contracts.
Exactly.
And, come back.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so good. Tim, what was you touched on this a little bit with your parents being able to come see K-pop and your experience there. What was your experience like with K-pop and like post K-pop? What has it been?
Right.
Because it was kind of like a flash in the pan. It feels like
goodness, totally.
Like this the type of show it was, the way that it went. Like it went from I feel like 0 to 100 too.
100%.
Like all of a sudden it was in workshops, and then it was off Broadway, and then all of a sudden it was like boom, here we are. And it created this incredible community of people. I feel like that just like surrounded this show. Right. So I just want to hear your experience on it and what your thoughts were.
Yeah, I think, K-pop is a gift to me, and it takes such a dear place in my heart. And I joined K-pop post-COVID. So
Yeah.
K-pop, I think we can separate it to pre-COVID and post-COVID.
Totally.
Pre-COVID is off-Broadway where
Yeah.
everyone was raving about this
Yes.
off-Broadway show. It's
Yeah.
it's really the immersive show that
Yeah.
everybody went to that they really enjoyed. And I think I was like graduating college back then.
Yeah.
So I knew about it and I wanted to audition for it, but I was in LA.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened, and then I found out through my agent that they were looking for swings.
Yeah.
And they're bringing it to Broadway.
Yeah.
And I auditioned I think I auditioned 7 times. I
my
went in
gosh.
8, 9 times for that. And
Wow.
and I got the job. And then my first experience with K-pop starts with the workshop, which
Yeah.
was, I know back then they said we're going to Broadway, but we weren't. We
Yeah.
needed the money, we needed the producers, so that workshop was crucial.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that was the most crucial workshop that we needed because we basically needed that boost to go to Broadway.
Right,
because we
exactly.
didn't do the out of town show.
Oh, yeah.
Usually for the listeners, before the show goes to Broadway, they do out of town shows to see what audience likes, what it is like to
Right.
perform this on stage. But we were supposed to do it, I think, in DC, but it got canceled due to COVID.
Wow.
And so, like you said, our show went from off Broadway to, because nobody knows about workshop,
Right.
to nothing to like all of a sudden we're coming to Broadway. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but before that Broadway, there was this workshop, which was like a performance to us.
Right.
So I went in as a swing, but it was very rough process because at that time they were trying to bring an immersive show to Broadway commercial show. It's
Right.
very different. Commercialized
Very.
show needs to be presentative and
Right.
it needs to perform outward and it needs to go for things that I think many artists are hard to cope with.
Sure.
Things that we have to kind of just bow our head and be like, yep, that's what they want.
Yeah.
And we got to go for it.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of change that we had to make throughout the process.
Yeah.
But I joined in as a swing and at first I got a 3-part
Yeah.
to cover. But at that time I was just excited to be there, right? I was
Yeah.
like, oh my
Right,
God,
right.
all these people that I used to see on Instagram are here. And like, oh my
Right,
gosh,
right.
I was so green. I was still a master's student back then.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God, they're amazing. Oh my God, I'm in 42nd Street, the 42nd Street
Yeah,
studio.
yeah,
I was like,
studio.
holy cow.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
blue curtain. It was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, dream.
Oh my gosh.
And we were also working with real K-pop stars from Korea. We brought in 4
Wow.
new K-pop stars: Luna, Kevin Woo, Min, and Spica's Boyoung. And they were like, I mean, the K-pop these generations are. I'm a bit too old to fangirl
Sure.
them, I think. But
Yeah.
these K-pop, they were when I was in middle school, high school. I used to be obsessed with them. So
Right.
Oh my gosh.
I was already starstruck by them and
Yeah.
then
Right.
everyone. So I joined in very green, very like I'm just thankful to be here.
Right.
And we were working on the workshop and everything was going smoothly. And I think 3 days before presentation, and this is when things get like, this is like true testimonial of God
Yeah.
happening in my life. At that time, I was covering 3 ensemble roles.
Right.
And at that time, nobody knew how to deal with COVID. So
Right.
they really thought, even some producers were like, why are we hiring swings? But I think it was a protocol back then.
Right.
So they didn't even know what to do with me. They were like, yeah. Like the directors didn't know what to do with me. So I was
Right.
just like back there like writing stuff and it's like, yeah, just stay here for a bit. And then they would do the work. But I was just thankful to be there. And I think it was December when Omicron started happening.
Yeah.
COVID, Omicron. And 3 days before the performance, before the presentation, I think it was Monday. Thursday was our presentation. And I think it was Monday night that we found out our leading man got COVID.
Oh my gosh.
And it wasn't the role I was covering.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, I don't mind. It was like,
Right.
all right, I guess they'll figure something out. And Tuesday morning comes, Thursday is the show. Tuesday morning comes and they're like, emergency, because if we don't do this presentation, there's no show. There's no Broadway.
Right.
Right.
And I show up and all of a sudden this director that didn't even talk to me for the past 5 weeks comes up to me Be like, can I talk to you for a second? And he comes and he's like, I think you need to cover that role. Do you think you can do it? I was like, but I don't cover that role.
Right.
And he looked so puzzled. He's like, what do you mean? Yes, you do.
And you were like, no.
You didn't tell me that. And there was some confusion that I had to pull out my email to show my stage manager. Like, here, look, these are the 3 rules that you told me to cover. So apparently they all thought I was supposed to cover him, but it was that much of carelessness that they had towards me or the swings that or they were so busy with the work that they had to present. So I understand their point of view, but they just didn't have time to take care of me that they forgot to tell me that I was supposed to cover.
Damn.
So they had this, I remember they're having this like a crazy emergency meeting of the producers and the creatives, like, okay, can we trust him? Can you do it? We have 2 days. Can you do it? So, I mean, I'm really shortening this long story, but, and I think one of the producer, Tim Forbes, really liked me. Yeah. And he would always come and sit at the back and just watch stuff, right? But guess who was at the back with him?
Right.
Me, writing things down, not performing as a swing, just writing things down. And he saw that I was working hard, and he said, yeah, no, Tim, I can trust him. Let him do it. So on that Tuesday, listen, I didn't even talk to my music director. I didn't even get to talk to my choreographer or director. I get 3-hour session with my music director alone, 3-hour session with my choreographer alone, 3-hour session. And there was, I think, 8 dance numbers. And mine alone, if any of you guys have seen K-pop, it's not just a one dance we're doing together. It's one person doing a different direction. And it's just a different type of dance. It's a different animal.
Yeah.
And I was just so confused at that time. But all I knew, what I had to do was like, I have to do this. I have to get through this. I don't even know why I said yes to this, but like it was a driving force. So Tuesday morning, I get that. Wednesday is a run through.
Oh my God.
I didn't get another rehearsal. So I went home, didn't sleep, practiced all night. And I came to Wednesday for a run through. And that's when everyone came, because knowing that if I don't do well in this run through, they're calling it off.
Right.
Because he was a leading man. Right. And so I did it on Wednesday afternoon, and surprise, I don't even remember, I don't even remember how it went, and it went well, according to them. And I remember after our last number, I just fell down. I was like, I'm done. I'm so tired.
Yeah.
And I just stood up, and I saw everybody clapping for me in the room, and it was just the most, and I remember thinking, this is the moment that God has prepared for me, because it wasn't, as I said, I never started with the talent. I had to go to school again, because I knew my talent wasn't enough.
Right.
But through those process, I knew it was the hard work that counted.
Yeah.
And all I did, in this past 2 days was hard work, discipline, right? And that was just my muscle. That's my specialty. Right. Discipline is my specialty. And I did it. And on Thursday, they believed in me. We did it, and we got the show, and we went to Broadway. So that story, I mean, let alone I remember after Thursday, the producers came to me shaking hands, like you're the reason why we're going to Broadway.
Right.
I was just like, what?
Wow.
And I remember them saying they've never seen anything like it. And at that time I was just awestruck, how things are working and how I was able to save the show. I mean, it sounds heroic and all, but it wasn't pretty. You know what I mean? It was, so we had another show on Friday for family and friends. Yeah. So Thursday was producer's show. Friday was a thing. Wednesday night, as I was going home, my lower back was hurting. I was coughing out blood. Literally, I was sick to death. And at that time, I knew I had COVID. I was like, this is COVID for sure. We're doomed, because Thursday, the next day, because they do testing in the morning and after the show.
Oh my gosh.
So I knew if I go in on tomorrow morning for a presentation, right before presentation, they were going to take me out.
Yeah.
I knew, in my head, I knew it. I was like, this has to be COVID. I was so sick. I was shivering. I remember calling my friend at 7 a.m. in the morning. I was like, I'm so scared to go in because they're going to test me. And
Right. It's going to be positive.
even when producers are there, you
Right.
know? And
Oh my gosh.
so I got tested in the morning and I was stretching, like my whole eyesight being at the table of the COVID.
Right,
like,
right.
It's
He's
like,
like, please.
they're like, wait 20 minutes. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Oh my gosh.
please,
20
please
minutes.
be
Oh
negative,
my
please be
gosh.
negative. Longest 20 minutes of my life. And it was positive. I mean, no, it was negative. Oh my goodness, it was negative. So they were like, okay, Tim, you can perform. So I had to go to the bathroom to like throw up. I couldn't pretend I was
Right,
sick.
you were sick.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to worry anybody.
Right.
And it was just such a burden on my shoulder.
Oh my gosh.
And Thursday, so after the show, we got tested again to go home. And then that's when we got the call. I went home and I knocked out.
Right.
And then I woke up at like 9 p.m. Long email. 3 people got COVID. COVID positive.
Oh
Thank
my
God it wasn't
gosh.
just me. I was one of them.
Yeah.
And we're canceling tomorrow's show. But we're good because we did the show in front of
On
the producers
Thursday,
today. Yeah.
Whoa,
So we got canceled on
Tim.
Friday. So we're having a Zoom meeting tomorrow. We're all good. We're just going to cancel our family and friends show.
This is insane.
It's insane. It's insane. And that happened. And then that was towards the end of December. And then January 7th, like the day I'll never forget, like I got the call and like
Right.
I got an offer to Broadway. And
Wow.
yeah, that was the whole, I'm sorry. That was
No,
a
oh my
long
gosh,
story.
please do
of
not
like-
I
apologize.
had not heard that
No,
story.
I
though.
hadn't
did
either.
not know
Yeah.
that was such like, and I mean, the fact that Thursday didn't get canceled
I know,
is
right?
such a testament to like how the show needed to be on Broadway.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Totally.
And
That's awesome.
you got to go on Broadway, right?
Yeah. Oh, many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was crazy because I remember one of the creative telling me like, I don't think you were going to get the job, but I think you proved yourself that day.
Yeah.
And I think that's how you got it. I was like, oh, great. And when the show went to Broadway, now things were a lot more different. I was swinging, covering 9 tracks. It went from 3 to
Tim.
9.
Oh my gosh.
And I went on multiple times. Very short notice, obviously.
Yeah.
And I even went on for a role that I wasn't covering, the 9th role. I got offered 8th role,
Yeah.
and then I had to go on for a 9th role that I wasn't supposed to cover. So things just happen on Broadway that are just
Insane.
insane.
Yeah.
And even after we go to Broadway, now it's a bigger game because
Right.
I think putting up a show is just a monster.
It really is.
A new show that nobody is expecting.
Yeah.
And we're so afraid of the judgment. We're so afraid of the reviews and everything. But then I think the reason why we could stay together was because K-pop meant, especially to the cast and the creatives, that this meant a bit more than a Broadway show.
Right.
This meant like we were representing our culture and our people on Broadway, which has never been a case.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
There has never been a Korean culture on Broadway before.
Right. Right.
So we did it with dignity. We did it with a lot of pressure,
Right.
which I think it kind of shot us in the foot in the end.
Sure.
Because we had so much pressure, I think, it gets people could get greedy, people
Sure.
could get ambitious.
Sure.
And I think that's just, we had a lot of pressure
Yeah.
on our back. And
Yeah.
I don't want to say it was anybody's fault. I
Right.
just think we worked really, really hard and it fell through, unfortunately.
Sure.
But I think it made an impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely did.
That's already worth it.
Yeah.
No?
Without a doubt, it's
Yeah.
worth it.
This kind of goes along with the second question.
Yeah.
So I do want to ask it. But Tim, why do you think the arts are important?
I think arts, I am part of actors' arts, right? Arts has many different forms.
Right.
And I am part of the actors' form. And I come from a classical family, so I kind of understand their point of view too. I think art can be separated into, if we can cut the arts into half, actually, let's cut it to 3. The first, there's 3 phases in
Right.
arts as a human individual, I think. The first is receiving. You receive the art as a kid or as an adult or as whatever, from teacher, from seeing a picture or seeing a show.
Right.
You receive that fire. And I want to call that a presence.
Right.
You receive that first. And then second phase becomes you craft, you practice, and you grow that fire, you grow that presence, and you understand what it is. And everyone has that unique presence, like a fingerprint. So everyone's art is so individual and different.
Right.
And you grow that. You understand what your craft is, and you grow that. And the third point, which is, I think, why I think the answering your question is giving. Because you've received it, and because it is provided by God, which I believe that is the source that he gave it to us.
Right.
And I think we are used as a vessel to pour out our fire and our uniqueness that can make an impact to this society, because we can tell a story with that.
Right.
And we can make an impact. I am currently dating a medical student, and she is working in a hospital.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
They're so hands-on to like life or death that when I talk to her about, our career, sometimes arts seem like a less important job in this world. And when I was talking to her, because what the stories that she tell are like real person getting his head chopped off. I'm like, whoa, like, whoa. Like we use a strawberry jam as a blood.
Exactly.
So that there are times I really have to think, what does art mean to me? But what we do is that it comes in that three part, but our uniqueness creates empathy, and our arts create emotional support, and it creates community. And that is something that no other business can do, I think, because we go to this job with our dignity to not to be great or not to be good or not to be presentative.
Sure.
I mean, a lot of people do, but real artists don't.
Right.
I'm talking about real artists here.
Yeah.
They don't do that. They go with the grace and the idea of giving this craft to others.
Yeah.
It really comes, and that is, I think that is love. I think that's the love that God is talking about.
Yeah.
We have to be able to provide.
Yeah.
And I think many artists are at their different phase. They could still be receiving.
Sure.
They could still be growing, and they could still be giving. But at any phases, I think it leads to why we do the arts.
Yeah.
And I think we need to be appreciative of that time phase.
Yeah.
Because when I went to Broadway, I thought my life was going to change.
Right.
I thought my life was going to be glamorous.
Yeah.
I thought my life was going to turn out to be okay, I'm done auditioning.
Right.
Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. And now the jobs flow in.
I just pick and choose those jobs.
Right.
Absolutely not. I mean, you are still, because you have to focus on your individuality.
Right.
When I start focusing on, okay, I'm done auditioning, that means you're letting go of your craft.
Right.
Because auditioning is our job, and auditioning is our craft. And we need to constantly build ourselves to be a better human. Obviously, I don't want to recommend, don't get into that black hole of working so hard that burns yourself out.
Totally.
And like, I'm auditioning I'm lining up for every ECC and EPA or like every non-equity call, but don't burn yourselves out. But I think it's important to know that what arts mean to you.
Right.
And where you are in your phase, and accepting that.
Yeah.
If you're at a growth phase, which I think I am.
Yeah.
I really think I'm still at a growth phase.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can still give and grow at the same time, but I'm in between that transition of growing and giving.
Right.
And I think that's when your career is peaking.
Totally.
Is where it is, I think.
Totally.
Yeah. So that's what art means to me.
Go ahead. Were you going to say something, Rachel? I love that you described it in the three phases, because we have a friend named Quentin, and he talks about all the time, like he totally believes in giving his art. Like if somebody asks him to sing, he never once has refused. I think I've been in a room before where people are like, Quentin, sing something. He's like, okay. And it's not out of like you said, trying to like get accolades or making himself, quote unquote, like the center of attention. It's about like the fact that he believes that he has been given this piece, he has received it, he has grown to a certain point now where he just wants to give it.
Right.
Like he's like, this is a way that I can bless people. This is a way that I can like, give back to people, grow community, like you just talked about. So there is recognizing, like you said, and accepting where you are in those 3 phases can be difficult. I think people,
difficult.
People want to be further along maybe in their development as an artist than they are. And so being able to,
because we want prize,
right?
I think I think life is so difficult because we feel like we deserve a prize, an award after our hard work.
Right.
I think that's why and I've read this somewhere, I think our brain works this way. Like if we work towards something that because we want to achieve that, your brain will work so hard to achieve that, but after that your brain is gonna not function because your brain doesn't know what to achieve anymore. Now if we think about we're living our day-to-day basis with gratefulness and using that energy and using that brain to focus on yourself more than what achieving is, it becomes a bit easier even after you achieve it. It just kind of comes to you.
Right.
I think that's the idea.
Yeah.
But it's so hard. I mean, I struggle with it every day.
Yeah.
After a callback, I'm literally holding onto my phone thinking, why are they not calling me?
Right. Yeah. Without a doubt.
Or like I auditioned, I think after K-pop, I auditioned like 70 times.
Yeah.
The past 8 months.
Yeah.
I mean, love my agent. Thanks to them.
Yeah.
But I didn't book 77 of them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Like, exactly.
78 of them.
Right.
And you're just like, and and everybody who listens to this knows how one audition is like, you pour your heart, you pour your life and soul and tears and sweat, everything into it. So it's obvious. It's totally okay to expect an answer,
right,
an award. But if we cling on to that, even after we achieve it, it's dangerous.
Right.
I think.
Without a doubt.
This is a good segue into the next one.
All right.
Do it.
Yeah. So all of this the just brings on a lot of different emotions. So when you're having to do those, 70 auditions and your life isn't, or maybe your career isn't totally going the way that you're wanting it to, all of that, how do you stay grounded as a human?
That's a great question. I think 2023 has been the hardest year of my life because I think because 2022 was the biggest gift with Broadway.
Right.
Comes the biggest fall.
Right.
Because at some point I'd be like, oh yeah, I should, like, things should come around now.
Right.
Things should come around now, and it just doesn't happen. Doesn't happening. And now I'm at a pull of comparing myself with people on Broadway.
Right.
Or this league, I'd say.
Right.
And now my Instagram friends are different. Now my voice teachers' students are different. Now my agents' clients are different.
Right.
And you start thinking about, am I the only person in this community that are not performing? Am I the only untalented one?
Yeah.
And I immediately forget about, I remember talking about that, the light that I had when I first walked into that 42nd Street studio, gone.
Yeah.
Gone, because now I'm expecting it. Now I think I need it. Now I think it's mine.
Right.
And even knowing that, I went through, like, for the first time in my life, I went through an anxiety. I went through like a panic attack. For the first time in my life. And I used to think that was like, oh, you need Jesus in your life. But no, that's like, that thing is real until you face it. Yeah. And it's so painful.
Yeah.
And I'm still definitely struggling with it. I'm still trying to figure out. And sometimes I wonder, would really booking a show that I want solve this problem?
Yeah.
I asked that question because I've struggled with it for so long that the basic question comes up: is this going to be solved, or is this going to be repetitive after my next show closes?
Yeah.
Is this going to be my life?
Yeah.
And then that's when I heard one of the sermons saying, and it was just a very simple cliche sermon that you hear it every day. And the answer was that the answer is in Bible. And that was it. That answer is in the scripture.
Right.
And at first I was like, duh.
Yeah.
Like, seriously?
Yeah.
But then I asked myself, how close am I to a scripture? You know, where scripture is where God and Jesus has put their life into the book.
Right.
It's their presence. It's
Right.
their real, it's tangible.
Right.
So that is the truth and that is the way.
Right.
But how close am I to the truth and the way in my life where I was so deviating towards my own words in my life?
Right.
So I started very recently. It's so funny how I say this because I started very recently. Like I opened it up. I started reading it for the first time. Not the first time, but like I tried to read it from the
beginning to the end
for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's so boring.
Yeah.
It's so rough because sometimes it's not relatable. But
Right.
Yeah.
I think a plant has been seeded in my heart that there is a trust that there is an answer here.
Yeah.
That answer in this book that I will be okay in my life without my awards, without my prize,
Yeah.
without my goals, because walking with him every day is exactly what he wants and exactly what we need to do. And I think that's why you two are incredible for just walking this path of like constantly trying new things and constantly giving towards artists and towards people who might listen to this, is because it's so hard you cannot do this unless you're enjoying the process.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was not enjoying the process past 9 months. I was not, because I was so goal oriented and I was waiting for it to happen.
Yep.
But if you wait for it to happen, you cannot look at what is in the front of you.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and it's so hard with the audition life because once you audition, you wait for it to happen.
Right, exactly.
Literally, audition equals waiting for it to happen.
Right. Exactly.
So how can I not wait for it to happen?
Yeah.
I would always like ask God, like, do you not want me to do this? I'll stop.
Yeah.
But you don't, right? You audition for the next
Right.
so hard for your next show. But realizing that the fact that I haven't opened up that Bible to start from the beginning, and to realizing, even that question, will I ever be okay like this if I achieve this? Let alone that question makes my pain in the 9 months worth it, I think.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
So I am very grateful, and I'm grateful to share this with you guys at this time, because this realization came pretty recent.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
I think I'm a lot more happier. I feel a lot more safer.
Yeah.
And I think being safe, like our fear comes from feeling unsafe.
Right.
Unsafe from this career, unsafe from our environment, unsafe from our future.
Right.
But I feel safe. I feel guarded by the angels of God.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow.
Oh, Tim.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. It's very like, I think all of us come to a point where we realize the industry will disappoint.
Oh.
And like the industry, the goal, like you're talking about, like the goal, the award, like if we don't achieve that, or if the next job doesn't come, or, you know, like you said, the waiting becomes longer than you think it should be. You know, I tell Rachel all the time, I'm like, don't should yourself. And it means like, I should be here, I should be doing this, or I should be, you know, at this point in my career, or whatever it might be. And I think we all get to a point where we have to realize like there has to be something more.
Oh yeah.
Because if there isn't anything more, then we won't be okay. And there, you have to get to a point where you're like, what else is there? So the fact that the Lord has brought you to a place where you've been able to be like, okay, I'm going to seek out that answer
Yeah.
from the scripture, from the place where it is promised to be.
Yeah, I mean, I still haven't found it. Just FYI.
No,
You know
yeah,
what I mean, I just
yeah.
opened it up. That's all. Yeah.
No, yeah, but I think that that's like, even in the searching, there's like you said, even if these past 9 months have gotten you to the point where you're asking the question, I'm like, that is so valuable, so valuable. Yeah, and sobering. It's very grounding for sure. Realizing that,
And he will provide.
yeah, exactly.
And I think the promise that he made, he will keep.
Yeah.
I think that's also believe, and that there's a fine line between. I'm sorry for like talking so much, but
No,
I
you're
think there's a
great.
fine line of, this happened when you said should, the word should,
Yeah,
because he promises us. There is a promise that he wants us to go for, and
Right.
that he wants us to wait,
yeah,
and because we are all walking in the wilderness, waiting to go to the promised land,
right.
and during Exodus, everybody was going towards the promised land. It just wasn't happening for 40 years.
Right.
But I think there's a fine line of knowing God will take us to the promised land
Yeah.
and deciding when that should happen on my part.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really
a
good.
huge, it's the same thing, because it's truly believing that it's going to happen.
Right.
Like, yes, I'm going to be on Broadway again. Yes, I'm going to do these shows, because I remember clearly what he promised me.
Yeah.
But it's not like he should do that, or like
Right.
it should happen this year,
Right.
next year,
Right.
10 years from now. Doesn't matter. But
Right.
because he promised me that, I'm able to live this day fullest as an actor.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what
Exactly.
drives me, really.
Yeah.
And even if it doesn't happen, he's keeping the promise that he loves me.
Right.
And I think that's important.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So good.
Yeah. There's like that underlying peace
Yeah.
in your day. Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to find that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trying to.
Me too.
It's
All
rough,
of us
it's
are.
rough,
I
yeah.
always think that like I describe it a lot for me personally. There's like this underlying knowing that I will be okay and that it will be okay. I don't always feel the peace, but I at least know
Yes.
that it's there.
Yes.
And that, I mean, especially on the days where I don't feel it, I have to hold on to the fact that I just know,
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do question 4. Tim, what person, place, or experience has shaped you the most creatively?
Creatively.
Yeah.
I think my dad.
Yeah. Wow.
He and I didn't have the best relationship for a while. I think it was during COVID that I went to Korea for like 8 months.
Yeah.
Or I finally started living with him for the first time since I was 11 when I moved to the
Wow,
States.
yeah.
Because he always lived in Korea. He would always come visit, but it was like 2 weeks and he was busy with seeing my brother and sisters. I think seeing him mature and grow into protecting me as a father and trying his everything to help my dream come true, and really rooting for me, and just again knowing that I'll be safe.
Yeah.
My dad is like typical Korean dad. He's like very not talkative. He's very quiet. He doesn't say much. But whenever I talk to him, there is a sense that I will be safe. I will be okay. And I think that, that's why I asked creatively, because he didn't really give me a lot of room for creativity
Sure.
as a father.
Sure.
But he gave me safetyness that I could explore my creativity.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's he's not an artist, he's a businessman, but and he doesn't see things the way I see things. But he put me in a field where I could play.
Right.
And I think that's why his the most impactful person in my life.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
He gave you a field where you could play.
Yeah.
I love that.
He showed me the love that God, the fatherly love
Right.
that God could show.
Yeah.
right.
Well, and I think too that just, we're talking with another guest on the podcast about like how we are humans first. Like we
Yeah.
are artists, but we are humans first, and how most of the time it is our real life things that impact us the most
Yeah.
creatively. And that's good. Like that's how it should be. And because if we're depicting humans on a stage, then I would hope that anything that we are drawing from in our experience as humans is real, not fake.
Right.
You know,
Totally.
Right.
nobody wants to just see somebody act.
Yeah.
Right.
We want to see somebody live. And
Totally.
so
Oh my goodness.
the fact
yes.
that your dad, and I love that he gave you a field to play. Like that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And safety, like I think that there is, there's such a movement within the artist world and within the industry to create safe places that allow people to feel safe, because there's something human in us that is like searching for a place in which we can be safe, because when we feel safe, like you just said, it gives freedom. So like within boundaries that we feel safe, there is freedom. And I think we can discuss what those boundaries are, and like people have different thoughts on that. But, I think it just like made my heart like flutter when you said your dad made you feel safe and he gave you parameters. That way you can explore your creativity and grow. Like that is something that I think we as humans should strive to do for
Totally.
the people in our lives, but also as creatives, like holding those people who allow us to be that and such, like honor those people and love those people, especially thank those people,
Yes,
even if they
absolutely.
themselves aren't artists.
Right,
Like,
right.
Giving
true.
people who are not artists oftentimes are the ones who inspire us the most.
Oh, 100%.
In our creativity.
Yes.
So
yes.
yeah, I love that answer. I love that answer. Do you want to do the last question, Rach?
Yeah, let's do it. Hold on, I want to make sure. Yeah. What book, play, or film do you think every person should read or watch?
Ooh. Play or theater.
Yeah. It can also be what's inspiring you.
Yeah, I think I should think more that way, because I don't know what my type of
It's
shows will
totally-
inspire other
totally
people. You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah,
Subjectively,
yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah, exactly.
I think artists need to explore, and explore can only happen when you ask questions.
Yeah.
In terms of that, oh my God, this is gonna sound so stupid. I
No,
think the
please.
first thing that came into my head.
Yeah.
I love Christopher Nolan.
Yes.
That is not stupid.
I love his work
yeah.
because it makes you question.
Yes.
Yeah.
It makes you ask yourself, and it's so funny because my girlfriend hates Christopher Nolan because she's like, I'm always in hospital working. I don't want to go to movie theater to think.
Right.
I want to enjoy the
Right.
show. And I
Right.
completely understand that point of view. But I'm this type of person who loves to constantly ask questions of why.
Right.
And I recently watched Oppenheimer.
Yes.
Did you guys see it?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I thought it was a masterpiece. It
So
was so
good.
good. Once again,
So
he does
good.
Yeah. So
well.
amazing.
I mean, let alone acting is just top.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
it asks question based on real
Right.
life stories.
Right.
And I think that's what inspires me. That's what I want to do. Even when I perform, I don't want to just perform what is written. I want to perform. I want to ask question as this character. I want to why am I saying these lines, or why? And that's why when I did K-pop, it was so fun because I got to explore 9 different characters. I mean, being a swing, I have a great time.
Right.
Because I have the brain. Not everybody does, which is okay. I enjoy being a swing, but I was able to explore all those 9 characters, individual humans, right? Because we treat them real humans, fingerprint humans. So they're so unique. And every time, like recently I did Tui in Miss Saigon.
Yeah.
And oh my God, how that character is so deep than
complex.
just a villain.
Yeah. Oh my
And
gosh.
so many years he was just portrayed as a villain who tries to kill a kid. But really it comes from the love and it comes from deep care for Kim. And if I hadn't asked questions,
right.
I'm just the guy who sings high B flat.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that is the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah. Totally.
Nobody wants to hear, I mean, a lot of people do these days, but nobody wants to hear high B flat
right.
with no intention.
Right.
And I think that's why I want to do musical theater so much is because there's a liberating feeling in that singing, when we're using our voice to explore. And I think Mr. Sondheim does that perfectly. But yes, sorry, back to question. Yes,
No,
I
that's
think
okay.
asking question.
Yeah.
That's why Christopher Nolan.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
He does. He presents, I mean, I felt so, Oppenheimer, I left going, whoa, I have a lot to think about. These are big questions that he posed in a way that was like, it never felt like he's posing a question.
Yeah.
It was just so in the story.
Right.
And I loved that.
Right.
Yeah.
And you go into, I think it's same as theater. I think more than movie, theater can do that better because it's more relatable and you see it in real life.
They're like actual living, breathing humans right in front of you.
Right.
That's why I just think these Broadway shows these days, I'm just very disappointed. You know, I'm just like, okay, what are we?
Right.
Where are we going?
Yeah.
What's the question we're asking?
What's the question we're asking?
Yeah.
And there is none.
Right.
There is opinions. There are opinions and there are points that they want to make across.
Right.
Great.
Right.
But where is the question?
Right.
Yeah.
I think not just theater, but this world is becoming more than a question. It's becoming more about a statement.
Right.
And I think that I think as an artist, that is the biggest poison. Because once we stop asking questions, once we decide to make one statement and really not think about the other side,
right,
then there is no growth.
Right.
And how can we grow as an actor if we stop thinking about it? If we stop asking questions?
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
On that note.
Yeah, really.
Just drop the mic there, Tim.
Yeah, really. I totally agree with you. And there is something so special. As artists, we get the opportunity to ask the questions, which is something that not everybody gets to do.
Right.
Like people who are sitting there ingesting the questions, like they get to go home and they get to contemplate it. But I think Tui is an incredible example because he is such a complex character. And to see him just as a villain does a disservice, I think, to not only his character, but to the piece as a whole.
Yes.
Because, Miss Saigon is asking massive questions that have implications throughout history.
Right.
Not just at that one point in history, but future into who we are as a country and what our impact is on the world and all these different things. And so I think you saying when you stop asking questions, that is poison. I'm like, tattoo that on my forehead. I'm like, that is one of the that is such an incredible thing to hold up and to really ask ourselves as artists is like, if we've stopped asking questions, then why are we doing what we're doing?
Right.
I mean, truly, why are we putting it out there?
Because once we get used to this setting, we don't want to ask questions because we like it.
Right.
Because asking a question is opposing. It could be an opposing an idea.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I get it. And that's why as people grow older, they want to stop asking questions.
Yeah.
I understand that. But as a
seek-
growing artist, we should.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Comfort seekers for sure.
Exactly.
Okay, Tim, where can people follow you on social media?
Oh my gosh, yeah, totally. You guys can, I think, type Timothy H. Lee on Instagram. You can find me. My Instagram ID is Tim Hae Chan Lee, HAECHANLEE. And my TikTok is the same with one more E. Somebody made that. Yeah. So
I think you're the second person to say I had to add an extra E.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually, funny story, that somebody is me. I made my first account and don't know how to delete it because I forgot my email ID.
Oh my gosh,
so that person is me. So now I can't delete that. So don't follow the one with like 10 followers. Follow the one with like 3K, 4K. That's the one. It's,
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
There was a video that went viral. Speaking of TikTok, that it was when my parents came to see me on Broadway, and generosity of Josh Lee, who was on K-pop, he called out for me to perform for my parents, and that's when we only had 6 shows left.
Oh
when
my gosh.
when it was announced closing.
Yeah.
So he was so generous. I mean, he's a star on TikTok. I mean, he's so famous.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
He doesn't need it, but
Wow.
but I on my bow I did a traditional Korean bow for them, and then that video apparently went viral. Like I didn't even know it did,
Oh my gosh.
and all of a sudden I wake up and all this TikTok followers.
All these TikTok followers.
Wait,
You're like, hold on, what?
I have one video.
Yeah. I remember
awesome.
seeing that video and I reposted it because it was such a it was so, the only word I can use for it is it was so beautiful.
Oh,
like
thank you.
the way that you got to honor your parents in that way, and how K-pop has honored your culture, and being able to present that on Broadway is just like,
That's all it is.
oh my gosh,
that's why
it's so powerful.
It is what it is, and
Yeah.
that is. I'm so grateful I got that chance 3 days before closing.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, so cool. Oh, you guys. Thank
my
you
God.
so much.
So
Tim,
fun.
thank you so
guys.
much for being
Thank
here.
you for being
You're
a great
amazing.
listener. You guys are incredible.
Oh my gosh, no.
Thanks for coming on here and just sharing your story. I'm really excited about this for people to listen to this.
I am too.
Yeah, we're really grateful for you and for your friendship and your
Yeah.
continued pursuit of your
Anytime.
artistry, and we're excited to keep working together.
Oh, this
hopefully
friendship
more
will
soon.
continue.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
yeah, without a doubt.
I'm
Without
here.
a doubt.
I'm going nowhere.
Yeah, neither are we.
Yeah.
Neither are we.
Right.
You guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast today. Really, we hope that this was inspiring to you. Ask good questions. Go out there and make art, because you are an individual fingerprint, and we love you, and we hope to catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the For the Makers podcast. To find out more about Seated Productions, you can visit our website at www.seatedproductions.com and follow us on Instagram at seated.productions. And if you love what we do and want to support us, you can make a tax-deductible donation by visiting our website or by following the link in our podcast description. Until next time, listen well and tell stories.